Welcome to this explainer. We're going to go ahead and skip the long intros today, because honestly, we've got an absolutely fascinating intersection to explore. We're looking at the exact crossroads where ancient wisdom meets modern psychology. You know, we live in this era that's basically defined by endless consumption. We're constantly buying things, endlessly scrolling, ceaselessly consuming. And yet, somehow, we're always left wanting more. So why is that?
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever just sat on your couch, remote or phone in hand, and scrolled for literally minutes on end, completely unable to decide what to watch? It's crazy, right? You have thousands of movies and shows right at your fingertips, just endless options staring right back at you, and yet nothing feels quite right. None of them satisfy you. It's this incredibly paralyzing feeling. You end up spending more time scrolling through the menus than you would have spent just watching a movie. You've got all these choices, but you feel completely disengaged from the whole shebang.
Well, the real problem here isn't a lack of choices. It's actually that we are consuming without pausing to think. We're right in the middle of a modern crisis, a crisis of thoughtless consumption and fractured attention. We kind of trick ourselves into thinking, oh, I just need more options, or I need the newest gadget, or faster content, and then I'll be happy. But what we're actually doing is just consuming passively. Our attention is totally divided. We're devouring content and resources without ever really stopping to appreciate what's already right in front of us.
To truly understand this modern dilemma, we're actually going to look back, like way back. Let's look at this really powerful 7th century text. The Quran states very directly, "Eat and drink, but do not waste." This is from Surah Al-Araf, verse 31. Now, on the surface, sure, it seems like a very simple, straightforward rule about food. But as a foundational text for our explainer today, this ancient command actually holds the key to a much, much deeper philosophy about how we interact with the world around us.
In his renowned work, The 19th Lemma, the scholar Said Nursi offered this brilliant interpretation of the command. He argued that it applies far beyond just food. It encompasses our time, it encompasses our energy, it governs our attention and our focus. Actually, it relates to absolutely every given gift in our lives. Nursi is laying out a holistic framework here. Whether it's the food on your plate, the fleeting hours in your day, or even that mental energy you spend scrolling on your phone, it's all a gift, and absolutely none of it should be wasted.
So, the crucial point is understanding this specific framework through the concept of Iktisat. Often when we hear words translated as frugality, we immediately think of being cheap, stingy, or overly restrictive. It gets a pretty negative connotation. But Iktisat is entirely different. It's about living with balance by giving each gift the value it actually deserves. It's mindful appreciation. It's not about denying yourself joy at all. It's about paying enough focused attention to actually experience the joy in what you already have.
And that brings us to the exact opposite concept, Israf, which basically translates to waste. This means treating a gift carelessly in a way that inevitably ends in total loss. The absolute most important word here isn't greed, it's carelessness. Think about it. When we casually swipe through 100 short videos or just let our free time slip away without any real intention, we aren't necessarily being greedy. We're just being careless. And according to the source text, that carelessness always ends in the total loss of the gift's true value.
And this brilliantly illustrates a stark picture of our daily habits when we look at these two philosophies side by side. On the one hand, we've got Iktisat, actively valuing a gift and living in a state of balance. On the other hand, there's Israf, sheer carelessness leading to inevitable loss. Every single time we use our time, our money, or our attention, we're essentially choosing between these two paths. Are we valuing the moment, or are we throwing it away through simple carelessness?
So what this means is that the core question isn't how much we have. The real question, the one that actually matters, is whether you recognize the worth of what you already hold. This ancient wisdom is just incredibly profound, and it really challenges how we view our everyday modern habits. But what makes this explainer so fascinating is that we don't have to rely solely on theology or 19th century philosophy to prove it. Modern science has actually stepped right in to validate exactly what this ancient wisdom has been saying all along.
Enter the modern scientific concept of choice overload. This is a psychological state where having unlimited options actually causes our overall satisfaction to drop. Why? Because our attention never settles on any one thing. It's fascinating because this psychological concept perfectly mirrors the philosophy of Iktisat. When you have too much and you engage with it carelessly, your satisfaction just plummets. You're surrounded by complete abundance, but you're experiencing Israf, total waste, because your mind is overloaded and completely fractured.
In the year 2000,
Psychologists Iyengar and Lepper empirically bridged the gap between this ancient wisdom and modern science. Now, what's really interesting about this study is how they tested it. They set up tasting booths in a grocery store, one with 24 varieties of jam and another with just 6. They proved with hard data that while the massive 24 jam display definitely attracted more people to stop and look, it was actually the smaller, curated 6 jam display that drove more sales and resulted in much higher customer satisfaction. They scientifically validated the less but mindful principle. It proves without a shadow of a doubt that unchecked, careless consumption utterly fails to satisfy us.
The research reveals this direct inverse relationship. As our options become unlimited, our satisfaction actually drops. Basically, as the quantity goes up, the quality of our human experience goes down. Psychologists found that when people are presented with just an overwhelming array of choices, they're less likely to make a decision at all. And even if they do, they are much less satisfied with their choice than if they simply had fewer options to begin with. So more consumption does not equal more happiness.
Let's move ahead and see how this all builds together. What is the ultimate empowering takeaway from all of this? It's simply this. If using more of something never satisfies you, the problem was never the quantity, it was the carelessness. Whether we're looking through the lens of a 7th century Quranic command, Said Nursi's 19th century framework of İktisat, or hard psychological data from a grocery store jam display in the year 2000, the core message is exactly the same. Rejecting carelessness is the ultimate key to finding actual fulfillment in a modern world that is constantly trying to sell you more.
So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. When was the last time you truly paid attention to something you already had? Don't rush to answer it. Just let that question linger for a moment. In a world of endless scrolling, unlimited choices, and constant distractions, maybe the most radical and fulfilling thing you can do today is to just pause, look at what is right in front of you, and finally give it the attention and value it truly deserves.